Hello and welcome. This is me, Roy Fensom, and I run Lunar Mask and Spiritual and Wellness Fairs. Tonight we will be having an interview with Suzie Crush, who runs Zen Thyme Healing. Um, this is a reasonably new event for Suzie, so please, if you're listening in, go easy on the poor girl. It's never good to get attacked as quickly as when you come straight on. So if you're watching this now, then please share and pass it on to as many people as you can. I'll just run that there. There we go. Run that. Share with friends and family. Thank you very much. We've got 2 viewers already, and it's lovely to have 2 viewers in the background there. I'm going to bring up Suzie, and we will see where it all takes us this evening. Hopefully we won't drop out like we did yesterday. Now, we just wait and wait and wait and wait. And hello there, Suzie. How are you?
Hi, Roy. How are you tonight?
Doing well. Hopefully all things going as they are meant to do. We will have a brilliant evening.
Excellent.
Now, just to give those people that are tuning in a bit of a background so that we can wait for people to sort of mosey in, where did all this start for you? You know, the healing and the spiritual aspects. How far ago?
Okay, so probably close to 4 years ago now, I actually became involved in Reiki, or had my first Reiki session. Leading up to that, I was born with digestive issues and all sorts of health issues.
Hi, Glenn.
And so basically, right through childhood, I suffered with tonsillitis, bronchitis, all sorts of chesty issues, back issues. And so leading through, prior to ending up with the Reiki, I developed was diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia and ankylosing spondylitis, which worsened going through a marriage separation and having to deal with domestic violence and other traumatic issues throughout life. So I sort of hit a stage where I'd been on medication for about, 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, and then they got me onto some biological injections, which are like a tub of chemo. I hit rock bottom basically going on those. I ended up with chronic fatigue, constant flu-like symptoms, just really not functioning very well at all. Trying to look after 2 younger boys on my own, which was also quite challenging. Hi, Nat. And so, I ended up turning to Reiki. Hey, Carolyn, I'd met a man called John Kenny at a spiritual night that I went to, who worked with a lady who still works with her now, actually, a psychic medium that I've seen quite a few times. And I was chatted to him a few times and then thought, well, I'll go and see him and see how it all goes. And that really started helping.
So did you sort of just suddenly decide, yes, this is, Reiki, I'll go along to it, or was there some underlying factor that sort of drew you into that area?
Well, I've always been into natural therapies, seen naturopaths, Chinese herbalists, acupuncture, massage, that sort of thing. I think with where I was at, I was so fed up and really at a point where I had no quality of life and really not a lot of quality of life for my boys either. And so I thought something's got to change. And I hadn't actually tried the Reiki. I'd spoken to another friend of mine who was also seeing John, and she raved about it and said how fantastic it was. So I thought, well, can't hurt. I'll give it a try. And
give it a go, yeah.
Give it a go. And so from there, it sort of kind of went from there. I went to John periodically, and then I went to another lady who I ended up learning from. She was doing meditation nights, mentoring, and obviously teaching Reiki. And so I started my Reiki journey there of thinking, well, I might as well do it so I can actually self-heal. I think that's why most of
I think
us
that's how a
get
lot
into
of
it.
people actually start out. Is it's not about helping other people; it's about healing yourself first.
Yeah. So I thought, something's got to work, and so I started using oils in coinciding with the healing, and was on some vitamins and different things like that. But the combination of the oils and the healing made a massive difference for me, to the point where a few months into learning and whatnot, I actually had weaned myself down off of the medication that I was taking, to the point where I was on a minimal dose, and decided to completely wean myself off. And I haven't. It took me 3 weeks of serious withdrawals and horrible symptoms, but I haven't actually touched any of them since. And that was 3.5 years ago now, and that was after 8 years of being on the medication. So it was quite intense.
So you've been through a fair bit. I feel that.
Yeah.
And thankfully you've said that, because none of this is in the bio that I'm reading from.
I know. I wasn't. How long's a piece of string? Like, it's one of those things I can talk things, but I struggle to put it in writing. And so it's sort of like coming from a place, I want to inspire people because that's what I've worked through, and I'm not there now. I don't suffer very much. Like, I'll only have a flare up every now and then if I overdo it. And it's more as a warning sign to myself, rather than me going, oh no, I've got, going back into this space. I'm not going backwards. It's just, right, okay. Hey Lee, how are you? Athalie, that's my beautiful cousin. Yeah. Hi Carolyn.
You've got one of your high TFS.
Is mean, yeah, it is. So
It's I like the comments that come in for support. It makes it a lot easier to go through the process of an interview when you've got people there that can associate with what you're going through. So that's good.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Just on the Reiki, on your bio, it says you do Seishim and Karuna. Now, a lot of people have heard of Reiki, and in fact, I myself do Reiki. I do Suzie. So I was wondering if you would like to just broaden that aspect a little bit and give people sort of a background on the difference between Seishim and Karuna.
I can try. I have some information here with me. Essentially,
we don't need the book.
No, I don't. just to touch on a few notes. No, essentially, Seishim is a more of an Egyptian style healing. It's related a lot to Kuan Yin. So if anyone knows of Kuan Yin, she's very feminine. So it's a very feminine energy.
Passionate mother.
Hi, how are you? So it's basically, it was formed through, they relate it back to Sekhmet also, who is one of the goddesses, Egyptian goddesses. So it's more of a feminine energy, and it works similarly to Reiki and very well in conjunction with Reiki. It gets to a lot of deeper heart issues. So it's sort of using that feminine love energy, or, more nurturing energy. Whereas obviously Reiki is more of a universal sort of energy and healing system.
Yeah, so it's aimed more at the feminine side and the heart energy, I take it.
Basically, yeah, and it's, obviously quite good for healing heart trauma and emotional traumas and things like that, because it is a very nurturing energy, whereas the Karuna is also, quite a loving, nurturing energy. It's can be a lot stronger though. So I've heard it referred to as more of a masculine energy at times, but it's probably more related to the Ascended Masters. And it's, again, works well with Reiki and with the Seishim. They all have a different purpose. The Karuna can be quite good for healing deep emotional trauma, because it can get right into the chakras with the symbols that you use. It's also good for addictions and a various sort of range of different things that create blockages within the chakras. So essentially, without going too much into it all.
So did that lead into the emotional Egyptian cleanse?
Well, it can. The sashim and the Reiki.
I just thought you've got the karuna there, and you've got that Egyptian background with the Reiki, yes, and the heavier content. Maybe, yep, that's why you were sort of led into that Egyptian emotional cleansing. Yeah,
absolutely. The emotional Egyptian cleanse, I can read to you basically a bit more information about that. So Dr. Gary Young from Young Living actually visited Egypt, and he was guided into the area where the walls were covered in essential oil recipes in actual hieroglyphs. And so the recipes for the emotional cleansing that he was inspired to create actually came from the Egyptian papyri. The kit that he actually formed or created was called the Feelings Kit. So that's actually available, but I tend to use about 10 to 12 oils, whereas this kit has 6, which relate to specific emotional centers and issues. What makes it so good in conjunction with, or so effective in conjunction with the Reiki and with the sashim in particular, because of the Egyptian aspect to it, is that when a person is stressed and in any condition, environment or circumstance, their sympathetic nervous system goes into overdrive. The human physical reaction to emotions and stress has an effect on the body and our well-being, and this affects the endocrine glands, the adrenals, adrenaline, and our emotions, and it creates excess acid in the body. And in this, it transcribes into the memory and onto the template of your DNA, and becomes an engraved code or a memory in your DNA. So the stress, past, and the emotions are engraved in on the human cell. So the way that we actually can get into clearing that, one, the energy healing, the Reiki, helps to clear that cellular memory. And with using the oils, it actually bypasses the conscious memories. So you don't have to relive those experiences to have an effect on healing those emotions or those stored traumas, because basically with our smell, it's the amygdala gland, which is where the smell senses go through to, are basically located behind the pituitary, which is sort of behind here. It goes straight through to there and actually helps to release those stored memories within about 3 seconds of smelling the actual smell or oil. So it can be really effective for the traumas that we hold on to, like emotional stress, bullying, betrayal, broken trust, hurt feelings from how other people have treated us, abuse, loss, grief, guilt, shame, relationship post-traumatic stress, divorce, endings, memories from car accidents and things like that, or anything that has engraved themselves or implanted themselves in our cells within our body. So, so basically it helps to clear the emotional baggage that is being stored in our body that's then stopping us from being able to move forward with more vitality, more health, more happiness, joy, love, and all of those sorts of things.
Brilliant. You ready to turn the page now?
That's basically it. There's obviously more, but that's a broad enough description of it all, I think.
I think every symptom that's out there has been covered by now. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Look, I know you were saying earlier that you went through a lot of emotional turmoil. So I understand that a lot of the things that you're talking about are very emotionally drifted into your healing.
Yes.
Just to swap off into a different area, only slightly, I might add. The title of your business, Zen Thyme Healing. How did you come about with that sort of configuration?
Well, I was trying to, obviously, as we all do, trying to find something with meaning to me and something that I actually liked. At the time, I was involved with Party Light candles, and they actually had a fragrance, a candle type called Zen Thyme. And I thought, well, that's perfect because the Zen is actually, obviously I want to create that feeling of Zen relaxation and incorporate that in. I've always been very passionate, and I actually studied naturopathics or naturopathy for a couple of years before, and I'm still enrolled now, but I've decided that I'll go more within the health coaching and energy healing realm. But I've always had a love of herbs and natural healing for the body. So that's essentially how I came up with the Zen Thyme. The business name.
It always amazes me how people associate different things with their business names. Like mine is my day and night symbols. So all of mine are based on basically the good parts of my character, but on my night value and my day value. And some people, when I saw the title, I thought, oh, hello, we're looking at somebody who's looking for meditation. The time would relate to probably the oils, and the healing is the aspect where the Reiki sort of drops in. So I'm always intrigued to see how people come up with their names, to see how it relates to what they're doing.
Sure. Quite interesting.
Now, we move on to another form that you are doing, crystal healing.
Yes.
Right. How did we get into crystal healing? Was that an extension of Reiki or something else?
No.
Can we blame Annette for that?
No, I didn't. I can't blame Annette for that one because I didn't know her then. No, I think it was just an extension. I've always loved crystals. And it fascinates me how the energy and their frequency works with our bodies, and how, I guess naturally they form within the earth, and then we can actually use them for our own healing as well, and healing aspects. So I guess it came from a fascination of that. And I found that they actually helped me with my own self-healing. So I'd lay there and do Reiki on myself when I was in a lot of pain, and I'd lay the crystals on certain parts of my body, and found that they amplified and really helped to, shift things quicker or heal aspects of my body quicker.
And different crystals have different beneficial effects on the body.
Yes, yeah. So effectively with my healings, it's sort of what I offer as my services is an incorporation of pretty much, I'd incorporate most of it within each healing. I have a crystal grid under my healing bed, which relates to all the chakras anyway. But then if I feel that I need to incorporate them in, or someone specifically wants more crystals used within the healing, then I will do that. But I find that the healings themselves are a lot more effective with having the crystal grid that I have under my healing bed. They're just as a permanent sort of fixture.
So this is sort of the aspect of the intuitive healing, where you're deciding whether it's Reiki, Seishin, Karina, or crystals that is required by the client when they come in. So do you sort of have a prior feeling of what's going on in preparation, or is that just when the client comes in that you sort of suddenly decide that's where I need to go?
I do, probably not consciously, but I think subconsciously I do have a intuitive feeling or knowing of what I need to, or kind of a basis around what I need to do before they come in. I tune in and obviously sort of, do the grounding protection stuff that I do and get a feel for what might be happening. But essentially most of it's when they actually come in. Hi, Natasha. Nice to see you. And
if this is the one I think it is, Natasha comes from out in the middle of Never Never. So she tunes into a lot of our shows. I'm hoping that she is now getting some results from a reading that she had about a week ago. So
excellent.
It's nice to see some of these people dropping back and keeping up with what's going on in the different fields. I lost track of where I was going.
The healings. So basically the healings that I do are empathic and intuitive. So I feel what is going on in the person within my own body. I also get an intuitive knowing. I might receive messages that can be either a couple of words giving me a bit more information, or I might have to decipher things by just getting like either one word or a kind of an idea of what might be going on. However, I know when a certain area or a certain chakra is cleared or unblocked because it will clear in my own body. So yeah, there's sort of a combination of the empathic, intuitive.
So we've got communications going between people here. So
yeah, I was sort of looking at that.
some of the people that are like Annette's listening in, so it's good for her to see that some of this information is getting through and she's getting some results.
Great.
Now, twice I have had in mind what I was going to ask you, and twice I have been sidetracked by the comment. So I've got to get around to it here in a minute and figure out what it was I was going to ask you. Oh, yes. Speaking of sort of clairvoyant, claircognizant sort of things, when you're doing your healings and the like, do you ever pick up on those sort of emotional aspects, the clairvoyance or clairsentient? Is this happening in your life? This needs to be changed? Yes.
Yeah. I do, and especially around the heart, there's always, various traumas or things that will come up, and I find that I have to do a lot of investigation. So I actually do ask my guides questions and kind of tune in that way and go, right, okay, what's happening here? What do I need to do, or what's going to be most beneficial for shifting this? I will also ask for their assistance. So I have, angelic guides or other, I guess, my divine team that I work with. However, sometimes it'll be I need to talk them through a process. It might be, visualizing a bonfire and chucking everything on that bonfire. It might be going through a visualization and talking to that person and sort of releasing things that way. So there's a whole range of things, but it just depends up. Thank you, Annette. It depends on what comes up for that person at the time. And it's sort of, sometimes I find I even need to tone, which helps to clear the frequencies. But again, that's all guided by spirit, and I'm just that vessel that it's working through. So it is,
Well, thank you for that little tip there, Carolyn. Probably to know that Rosemary is going to help me. I actually find the bergamot works well too. So there you go. We all have our own little foibles. Oh yes, I'm sure that you do, Natasha. And I keep getting a message from Amanda that you're desperately looking for sage. You'll need to just email and I'll get it out to you, post it out or something. We'll find a way to get it to you, don't worry. And she seems overawed with you, Suzie. She thinks you're fascinating. Isn't that lovely?
Thank you.
Now, having gone from that, we're still into the health aspect. The health coaching, what are you entitled there?
Right. So I guess from my own health journey, and I don't think we're ever off of the particular journey. We're still always learning, but I think that I want to be able to help people and guide them through to actually make a change in their life, rather than it just being sort of a one-off here and there. It's not that it's about not wanting to help people in those situations, but it's more that given where I was at, I think when you're in such a debilitating state, you actually really need that guidance. And so I went into the naturopathics because I was passionate about obviously helping people and that healing aspect. But then what I realized is I didn't really want to diagnose people. it's given me enough to give me, obviously help me with my own health, but also to give me enough information and understanding on the different aspects and different ways that we can heal our body and, you know, use natural therapies and nature and all the various things. But where I envisage myself probably going more with it is being able to make a lasting impression and effect in people's lives by actually giving them tools and helping teach them and just give them that guidance that they need to keep on track and to keep moving forward. So essentially I'm doing work with setting up some programs and doing some things at the moment through a health coaching business course to be able to implement that further and help people more with that.
Wonderful. Now, if anybody wants more of this information or is interested in making a booking with Suzie, oh, I nearly forgot your name there, Suzie. Just jot that down quickly, info@zenthymehealing.com.au, and I'm sure that Suzie would absolutely love to hear from you. And if you happen to be listening in and you are interested in a healing at the Spiritual and Wellness Fair, all you really need to do while we are live is type in HEAL, H-E-A-L, HEAL, and we will take note of that. Now, having said that, if you are doing something like this on the replay, excuse me a moment while I just do this, Suzie. I don't want to really cut you off, but
That's okay.
if you're watching this on the replay, if I can find what I'm looking for, we would like you to type #heal so that we know that you've watched the replay and still interested in having the healing. Now, this is all well and good, but you have to make the effort and type it in. Now, also we have, I'm not sure what that means. No, it's all right. I went to, oh, we got Annette. She's out there. She's diving into the bucket. She's typed in heal. She wants healing from you.
Yay.
And that's good. The other thing that I would like to try and encourage is if you're interested in healing. I love live TV. My tongue goes faster than my brain. If you are interested in having more people who do healing aspects or something along that line, we would love for you to type in Zen. That way, we will have some idea of whether we're providing you the shows that are going to be beneficial and what sort of shows you're interested in actually watching. I know that the psychics go off with a rush, but we have other people out there who do amazing things, and I'd like to be sure that we're giving everybody a fair go. Now, I'm going to go back to Suzie, who's a wonderful person who has done a great job in the interview.
Thanks.
Do you do many fairs and markets? Have you done many?
I have done a couple of markets. I'm looking at starting to do probably the Brighton market a little bit more with some bath salts and aura sprays and things like that. But that hasn't quite happened yet. I will be doing, obviously, your fair in September, 23rd of September. I did the psychic fair at the jail earlier this year, and I'll be back there again next year. So that was really exciting. Thank you, Carolyn. I will.
You don't need to, Suzie. I've got a rose out the back here.
You got plenty.
I've got a whole bush of it, so I'm not short of it. Thank you, Carolyn, for suggesting that.
So yeah, that was quite exciting, quite good. And I did a market that I actually met Catherine at, who's been watching. She was the fairy lady, very cute fairy lady. And I started actually doing some mini healings at that one, and they were quite effective. So yeah, that's probably.
What do you think of Gola?
Yeah, no, I liked the Gawler one. I just missed out on getting into that one, so I'll have to get in a bit quicker next time. But it was really nice to actually be an observer and probably a visitor this time, so that I could actually look around and get a bit of a feel for different things and different areas, meet different people.
Yeah, I'll just answer Annette here. It doesn't necessarily have to be oil, Annette. A rosemary bush is beautiful. You rub it on the skin, it stays there for hours. So I think I can manage to get around on the rosemary I've got. So that won't be a problem, darling. I love the Gawler Fair and some of the psychic fairs around Adelaide because the energy is just beautiful, absolutely brilliant. The first time I did the Gawler show, I thought I've been going to the wrong markets. It just felt so different to do a psychic and healing market than it did the average, corner market or school market or something. Did you find
better because so much better because I think when I did more of not a general market, but the market that I started doing was a more of a retro style market with different things, and it wasn't really the right space. It was good for promoting and stuff like that, but it was certainly like you definitely feel the difference between doing like the psychic fair that I did at the old jail. That again, because it's specifically related to healing, psychic stuff, and all of that. It's much more in line with what we're doing. So I think there's definitely a different feel to it and a different client base or people that come through that are more interested in that. So it's, I think, more rewarding.
Yeah, we started out at like Paddy's Market and moved around, and a lot of the people followed us, but you really got to be cautious about where you pick your markets. I'm not saying that some of the markets we've done at a couple of schools we had up around Elizabeth. For some reason, the people up there seem to be famished and in a drought up there almost for the spiritual aspect of stuff. And the healing, we had one healer and poor old us doing the incense and promoting Reiki and what have you. And we were overdrawn. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were looking for it and just didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So next thing is, I suppose we should think about where you're situated so that people might actually have some idea of whether you're within their striking distance.
Sure. So I'm actually located in Glengarry. I work from home. So Glengarry is near Glenelg. And I do distant healing as well, but it depends. Some people prefer hands-on, so it's there's options there. I also will be starting again. I have previously done a distant healing circle, which is a free distant healing circle at this point in time that I'll be running either weekly or fortnightly again. So if you check out my page, my Facebook page, which is under Zen Thyme Healing, you'll be able to see on there the event for the distant healing, to be able to click on that you're interested in attending, and then I can include you in those healings if you're interested in that.
So do you find that when you're doing your distant healings, do you do that just like person to person, or is it, as they sometimes do with healing of critical sites like Israel, Palestine? Do you do that kind of healing as well, or is it?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've got a couple of different groups that I do earth healing with, and sending healing to disaster areas, and I'll also do it on my own if there's various things that come up, and I do one-to-one, and then when I do the group circle, that's obviously a multiple healing session that gets sent out, which still relevant to each individual person, because it is based on the intent, and the intent that's put through is that it is that each of those people will receive whatever they need, but obviously it's not the same as a full one-on-one personalised healing, but I've still had a lot of good feedback from people that have found those very beneficial.
I'd like to just take that a bit further in a second, but I want to ask, just get Natasha's up there again. I'm sure that where you are, Natasha, there are a serious drought of people who need spirituality and healing and the like. What we might do is just see if we can make some sort of contact in that area and find out who's doing what, so that people that are in the more remote areas have the opportunity to not only talk to people like Suzie and get some information out of them. And honestly, I'm sure that Suzie would love to have questions thrown at her so that she can answer some of them for you.
Sure.
But I'm always looking to see if we can find new people out in the so-called never. I don't want to be rude, but in the more remote areas that can help these people, and especially farmers. I mean, they're going through droughts and Christ knows what else up there, and the emotional distress that they are going through has to be immense. I mean, we're talking about 6 years or more of intense pain, emotional agony that they're going through, and the government is now sending up counsellors. I'm not sure if that's quite enough for what they want to do, but I suppose it is. But at least they're doing something, so I can't complain too much. Now, what I wanted to expand upon was I went to a distance healing group that talked. Are you very aware of ley lines and channel lines?
I have an understanding, but I'm not an expert by any means.
Yeah, the group that I was with for about 6 months, they talked about, instead of trying to heal the people in a particular place, if it's been war-torn or in Africa or something like that where there's severe drought or the army is taking food and everybody's ration and they're starving to death, they're trying to heal those. Sorry, I'm looking at a question here. I'll put it up and you can read it as well. They're looking at the locale where these places cross over so that they can heal that intersection to raise the energy in there so that the people that are around it don't have these emotional issues or these problems come up.
Yeah, so it helps to transmute it for a large number of people rather than on an individual basis.
Yeah, on an individual basis. Yeah, I'm glad you understand that, because sometimes I don't get the point across as well as I would like.
No, that's okay. One of my mentors works specifically with ley lines. Obviously, he does a lot of work with people one-on-one. Right. He does all his work via distance, but he's brilliant, and he oversees a lot of the different ley lines. And yet, the Rock Uluru, I actually have I send healing through to that through the ley lines every day. I haven't so much the last few weeks with my dad passing away, but I have been setting up and sending that energy, that healing through that ley line. But yeah, I have done work with different areas and sending healing through the earth and through the actual points to those areas rather than specifically just to the people. So it's sort of a combination of the intent for those people to receive the healing that they need, but also for the earth.
They draw from the energy that you're putting into that specific area. Yeah. Natasha, thank you for putting that up there. I understand that they do shy away from these emotional and spiritual growth, but I think a lot of these people that are out in the more remote areas, they're more internalized. These people tend to be, they don't talk much, but they think a hell of a lot. And so it's difficult to say that they shy away from emotional or spiritual growth. I think it's from what I've seen on a couple of other programs. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of contact with these people, but it's more about they're not willing to vocalize the emotional and spiritual aspects that they're going through.
And I think with the and it's not meant in a bad way, but I think with the age and the era that a lot of people in those areas are sort of going through, that are experiencing that don't like to talk out or get involved as much. It's not something that they understand. It hasn't been something that they've grown up with. But I did do some work with somebody that was helping people with cancer and various different things, and I was doing phone calls, helping, basically health coaching them through different options and things that they could do. And I did speak to some people in older guys and ladies in the remote areas, and they were starting to become interested in energy healing and in the more spiritual aspect, because medicine and drugs and various treatments are just not working or helping with their pain or assisting them as they should. So then they're getting very frustrated. They don't know what options they've got and where they can turn. So they have actually started to become more open, but it's still a gradual thing because of what they've actually grown up with and what they understand and know.
Yeah, I live in the hope that if we can continue to bring people like yourself on that are healers and psychics and the like, that some of these people will be able to feel comfortable enough to come on, watch, and then ask questions, and maybe even just get some support from the people who are not out there. I think the greatest thing that we can offer them is emotional support in a lot of ways. It does more than just try and go out there and fix a fence. But they know there are people.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes. I am going to put up I'm just checking to see if we've got any more comments. No, I'm just going to put up your information again.
Yeah.
If you're interested in anything that's gone on tonight, then you can contact Suzie either through her Facebook page or through her email at the information page. Somebody just, sorry, Carolyn, but drop out and then drop back in again, and you'll probably find the sound will work. Poor Carolyn has lost the sound, so she's watching us lip. I hope she can lip read, because it's hard sometimes. You can also send an email to info@zenthymehealing.com.au. If you are interested in seeing more of these programs on healing or Reiki or any of those types of things, please type Zen into the comments so that we have some idea that we're going in the right direction. If you're interested in the healing at the Spiritual and Wellness Fair, then please type HEAL into the comments. HEAL, HEAL. Now, I've got to get out of that one to get into the other one so that I can put up there. If you're watching in replay, can you please type #HEAL so that we know that you've contacted us after the event. It's always lovely to have people there, and we want to help out as much as we possibly can. I am not sure where I'm going to go now. Is there anything that you can think of that we haven't covered that you would normally cover in your business?
Probably not. Just, I guess, the difference with what I do and the way that I see is that I see that I'm more a conduit for the healing rather than actually healing people. So I guess there's different aspects with different healers, but also the way that I work is on the physical body, but also the subtle layers. So it's I guess the experience that I've had from people is that they feel a lot lighter and feel that things have shifted well for them, because it's actually shifted on such a larger scale rather than just working on the physical body. So it's just, I guess,
there's a lot
where I
of
was
healers
going with that,
out
but
there.
there's a lot of different ways to do things, and so
there's a lot of different healers out there, and a lot of them, especially when you look at them, they've done the Reiki, or they've done some form of energy healing.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started out, it was about giving energy to somebody else to do a healing, whether it was hands-on or just giving the energy. And as I went along, I found that I started feeling the aura, so that I knew which areas were depleted by just bouncing off the aura and seeing whether that was balanced and whether their light energy was sufficiently high. And if it wasn't, you would sort of, this is where I need to sort of work in some of the information. And
you've explained it much better than what I did.
and luckily, with Reiki and some of these other energy healing things, it doesn't matter where you put it in, it will effectively go to where you want it to.
Exactly.
But since doing that, I've gone on to like chakra balancing and sound healing, because now I'm finding that with Reiki that works, but I can now energize people around by using different sounds of the crystal bowls or the Tibetan bowls that I'm using. Yeah. And I find that the bowls tend to energize the air and cause the person to their body tries to vibrate at the same level as the bowl.
Yeah.
And again, this is just extension after extension after extension. It's much like yourself, where you start with, pedaling the boat, and then eventually you end up using the oar, and then you get really smart and you use 2 oars, and then you start getting really good and putting an outboard motor on the back.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the outboard motor yet, but I'm just there.
I think it's just an evolution. Like, we're all evolving, but even as a healer, I think for me, I'm quite often surprised at what comments I get from people, or what next thing is coming up, or is like something will happen and someone will say something, or it'll shift, or, whatever. And I'll go, oh, wow. Like I didn't think, had no comprehension that I could do that, or that, doing that can actually assist someone in that way. Or it's quite hard to explain, but it's one of those things. I think when you are a healer or whatever, and you uncover different gifts, or you get through and your frequency raises and you're doing things, it's like, for me, it's a constant excitement, or it's just constantly evolving. And it's like, I find it really fascinating within myself to just go, oh, wow, that's really cool.
You never know what's coming up. Somebody will come, we've got light beds and the light coming through now, and theta healing. There's I'm trying to think of the other one, forensic healing. I find that most interesting. And then there's your past life regressions and all the other things that people are doing. And I'm a great fan. I don't know about you, but I'm a great fan of trying to help people reach other people to do things. And
yes, absolutely.
If a client comes in and they're saying, oh, look, I've got this happening, and you say, all right, we'll do a bit of Reiki here, or we'll do a bit of massage. And at the end of it, they're saying, yeah, it's working, but it's not coming out. And I might well send them on and say, look, go and see Joe Bloggs down the road and see if hypno-regression works, or maybe it's bone therapy. If you can find out what somebody likes, 10 to 1, that's what will heal them the quickest. And if they like flowers, then you send them for bone therapy. If they're Asian, send them to the apothecary.
Yeah.
But it's sorry, carry on.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, no, that's okay. I find this a similar sort of thing. I find that, if I can't shift something, so far, touch wood, I've actually been able to shift pretty much everything in a session that's come through. But then what I'll pick up with, you know, someone that might have digestive issues or that might have something else going on as a support, or, you know, there might be other complementary things that are going to help them more. So it's like, well, you know, it would help you to go and see a naturopath to get, you know, assessed for herbal tonics or for what supplements you might need, or to get massage or acupuncture or whatever it might be. Bowen is great. I've had that done before as well. So, you know, it, as you said, if you intuitively pick up that, well, this person would really benefit from this, I am a big believer in referring, because, you know, I feel like it's a bit like that old analogy of it takes a community, you know, a village to raise a child. I think it's similar in this sort of instance, is that it's like what I've found on my journey, because I've used a lot of different modalities, is that it's like piecing the puzzle together, and somebody will bring a certain aspect of that or a certain part of that puzzle in that's going to help shift you through that specific part that you're at there. But then as you go through, you might need something else to bring those other puzzle pieces and kind of align them and put them where they need to go. So I do believe that it is that sort of community feel, or that larger scale of working together to actually, you know, to find what works for you and what aspect you're at that's going to help you the most with that.
I found in when we did Borough, we were doing just talking to people mostly there, because it's not a large community, but it's a very interesting community. They have 2 people there who do healings, and that's basically it. And the town literally shuns them in the front. So I'm looking at you and going, oh, no, that's rubbish. Oh, I can't do that. No. I wouldn't think of doing that. But when they get back home, they pick up the phone. And it seems to be a conflict.
Behind closed doors thing.
What I do behind my closed door is I'm very spiritually minded, and I love healing. But if I'm out in the street, I can't say that. And this seems to be a very large area that hasn't been cracked. We accept death, we accept cancer, we accept all these things. But if you say you're spiritual, or you're going down for a Reiki healing or something at somebody's house, all of a sudden, you know, the little silver hat comes out and they're ready to put it on the top there and make sure that the brain isn't exploding. And sometimes I don't understand that aspect. And then if you say to them, look, I've done some Reiki on you and you're feeling better and that's lovely, but if this pain persists, go and see your doctor. And they go, well, they suddenly do a flip over, and it's like, well, I'm having Reiki. Why do I need the doctor?
There's a real conflict in the mind, isn't there?
There is.
There's a real conflict in the mind. So I do agree. But I have seen, just in the last probably 3 to 4 months, I've seen a massive change and shift in particular in the male population. I've found that there's a lot of men now. Men are actually, and wanting to, they're sort of being pushed to look more emotionally and more at themselves, and getting in touch with their emotional side and working through those softer aspects of, I guess, coming into the feminine aspects of themselves.
I've got in touch with my feminine side. I'm fine.
Balancing up that masculine and feminine. But it's funny that I've had bricklayers and sort of, you know, the tradies that are much more, have always been more masculine and action orientated, are actually looking for something more and to get more into that side of themselves.
Funny when you see one of those big burly guys on the massage table or the healing table, and then they get comfortable, and all of a sudden you can hear them crying under the covers, you know, and you think, what have you done? What have you done? I'm terribly emotional now. Oh, we've got some comments here.
John. Hi, John.
Do you ladies sell couches?
No.
I'm wondering whether he's referring to the fact that you do counselling.
Maybe. Well,
that
yes,
sort of thing.
and I do counselling. Yes.
Ashanti from Craigslist.
Ah, very good.
There you go. I take it that is somebody that's on your list there, Susie.
No, I'm not sure.
You know, Craig, certainly not from my list.
No.
I'm happy to see anybody come in, believe me.
Thank you. Hi, Naomi.
Now, we have a few new people, so I'm just going to, when I can find the agenda again. Number one, share with your friends, even if they watch in replay, it's always good. But the thing that we really want to know is, when I can find it, if you're just tuning in, do you have a question that you would like to put to Susie or even myself? I don't mind. Susie is the one being interviewed, so we're assuming that that's where most of the questions are going to end up. We've got about 5 or 10 minutes to go, so if anybody still has a question they would like to ask, now it's a good one to go. She's tripping in there.
Hi, David.
Again, with the couch,
Start the auction.
Start the auction. I'm not sure what that's about.
No.
Think you might have the wrong place here, David. You might be looking for something that's on another page.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when all these things cross over.
No, this isn't an auction, John.
No, John, this is not an auction. Wonderful. Yes, it could quite possibly.
Spam, yeah, I think so, Carolyn.
Well, we got some extra people in there, even if they aren't the people we expected. So this is lovely. We put that up, didn't we? What else have we got for you? Outside of sharing with friends, if you're watching this in the replay, please type #heal if you would like to have a healing with Susie at the Spiritual Wellness Fair. This is on September 23rd, 10 until 4 at the Golden Grove Art Centre. So we will have psychics and crikey's knows. Oh, and that's come up, and I'm not sure where that's going. So, no, I got the wrong one. He just jumped, just as I went to do a net, this one jumped in, but I'm moving from the crystals. I'm not sure what that means, Annette. I love it when she puts these comments up because they get all cryptic.
I haven't done any on Skype yet, Carolyn, but I can.
I'll just put that up so people know what the question is. Susie, do you do sessions on Skype?
I haven't as yet, but that's something that I've looked into. I have generally done them via having a communication or conversation with somebody and then doing the healing and then touching base with them again on what has come through. But that is certainly something that I have thought about doing, is sessions on Skype.
Something that might be along the similar lines, you can have up to 10 people in the room, is Zoom. It's
that's
now
the
available.
other thing that I've joined up to is Zoom. And there's also, is it Google Hangouts that I've investigated as well, but Zoom definitely is another one that I've attended through the business coaching courses that I'm doing.
We got some comments here that I'm not bothering to put up, basically because they do not understand the term no. And if I go down here, no, this is not an option. See if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
There you go. That's something else.
Annette.
Annette, will
just
you
said she
be
was sitting on the
serious,
couch.
please? You're a nitwit, honestly. Anything you would like to put forward that we haven't covered, Susie? We've got a couple of minutes left, and that's about it, and then we'll close out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, catch for $1,000. Thank you, Natasha, for dropping on in. Tell your
Thank you,
unexpected
Natasha.
guests that you've just been spiritually lifted, and tell them to tune in next tomorrow night.
Excellent.
It's been fun, Susie. I
Thank
will
you.
put you into the lobby, and I'll just go through the closing up bit, and then I'll catch up with you.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for coming on, and for all your questions and for listening. Thank you.
It's going on. It's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see you're having no end of fun with this, and it's great. But we do have to come to an end on this. So I'm just going to run through the closing aspects. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Suzie Crush tonight and her business, Zen Thyme Healing. If you are interested in having a healing with Suzie, please type in #heal from here, because we're heading into the replay now. And I'm just going to put up the last of the information for... No, I do not. Thank you, Annette. And I'm going to close down. If you wish to contact Suzie, you can go to info@zenthymehealing.com.au, and please, if you get any information from David Campanione, it's about a couch, don't answer it. If you're interested in checking out the sites, go to Zen Thyme Healing on Facebook and check out what Suzie does there. And if you're really good, you can come along to the Spiritual and Wellness Fair on the 23rd of September between 10 and 4 and just have an experience with Suzie at the fair. To those of you that are serious, I'm about to close off, so I say thank you, everybody. Namaste, and I hope the sun is always at your back. I'm going to close the broadcast, and if there's anybody out there with a couch, for heaven's sake, get in touch with David.